wouldn't be here at this forum at the same time as you?
Is that why he postponed the visit? Did
saying
he tell
that-
you so?
That's not the reason, but were you disappointed
I think
that he's not
everybody.
here?
I can't say I'm really disappointed because I think the energy minister is going to speak in his stead, and as I said earlier, we're in need of an energy policy. So I would be very much interested in what he has to say. I do believe in the sincerity of the president when he speaks of his commitment to reform. But of course I also recognize that he's not the only person in government, and as I keep repeating, there is the military to be reckoned with.
Andy, Yangon Dine China Joda Mema, John of Pamalo, maybe the Piro,
Okay.
Andy, English Piba, Andy.
Okay.
But Mazo Tijana, Andy, Nasalini, Dema, Pamazo, the Nanganjaki, and Twalaroli, Andy, a tweet only, not a Kua, Andy, a good war economy for and the Dabare, not a Kua, and the Yamalo Dari, and the Dottiba, not a tiny Chile, and the Lila Gamma, the Shiva, Dajamolo, and the Yamanangama, and Tropono, a good tweet only, a blue pubic down the moody, look at by Loop Amazon, and the Timijeli, Bobby Wagner.
This is a question about my impressions with regard to the first foreign trip that I've made abroad in 24 years and what I felt on meeting the migrant workers of Burma and in attending the World Economic Forum. Well, my impressions are, I think I mentioned this briefly earlier, that the gap between Thailand and Burma has widened. The economic gap has certainly widened over the last 30 years, and we've got to try to narrow this gap, because that is connected to the second question about migrant workers. The reason why there are so many Burmese migrant workers in Thailand is precisely because of this gap. If we were able to offer them the job opportunities that they get here, then they would not need to come here. It was very touching to meet our workers and to find out how much they long to go home. So this is something we've got to keep in mind and work towards. Attending the World Economic Forum, it has been very valuable because I've listened to all what they call now the shakers and the shapers and the movers and the doers and everybody speaking about how they see the direction in which this region is going or should be going. I've learned a lot. And I believe in the learning process. I keep telling our young people in Burma that I do not make a distinction between intelligent people and unintelligent people, or between good people and bad people. I only make a distinction between those who are capable of learning and those who are incapable of learning. And I don't mean learning in the strict formal sense of school learning.
Over there first. Yeah.
Dosu, Gwen Robinson, Financial Times. You mentioned in your talk just then about the lack of a proper judicial system, and you said even the best investment law won't make any difference if you don't have the system, and then you mentioned there is no sign that any reform has taken place. Do you feel that's sort of a discouraging signal to send to a forum full of investors who are very interested in Myanmar, and it might deter I understand your concerns about the bad forms of investment, and you want constructive investment. What do you think is the way forward before it's going to be years before you have a proper court system?
No, it needn't be years if the government is really intent on bringing about reform with regard to our judiciary. But you should not look upon this as discouragement. I think you should just see it as a word of caution, but a strong word of caution.
Here first.
Yes. So from InfoQuest agency, local agencies, I would like, what do you think about Dawei project? You know, Dawei project is Thailand to invest there.
I would not like to talk about just the Dawei project. I would like to think of all bilateral projects. I would like to talk about how we would wish all bilateral projects to be approached. Transparency is very important. There should be transparency. And this is the message that I would like to send to those who are thinking of investing in Burma. Please make sure that whatever you do is transparent. Not just investments, but aid as well. Development aid, humanitarian aid. Transparency is very important if we are to avoid problems in future. The reason why we have problems with the Dawei project and projects of that nature and other bilateral projects is that we, the people of Burma, were kept completely in the dark about what was in the contracts, about what was going on, about what was going to happen. Then suddenly something was happening, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. Everything was going ahead, and people had not had a chance to discuss the situation, to exchange views, to come to a consensus. This is very dangerous for a country. It endangers national reconciliation. It engenders more and more suspicion and distrust. So whatever investments, governmental agreements, whatever aid might be proposed, please make sure that this is transparent, that the people of Burma are in a position to understand what is being done and how and for whom the benefits are intended. We have to make this quite clear. Otherwise, we may find that the benefits go to one particular group or one particular person even.
Please, on this side.
Ms. Suchi, this is it me?
Yes, this is your turn.
Richard Lloyd Parry of The Times. To what extent do you think the reforms which have taken place in Burma depend on President Thein Sein personally? In other words, if he was out of action for some reason, for reasons of health or for a political reason, what effect would that have?
This is a difficult question to answer, because if you assume that for some reason or the other President Thein Sein may not be continuing in his present position, then we also have to ask who is going to be to replace him. And unless we know the answer to that question, we cannot tell what the consequences of such a change are going to be.
We're going to go to the regular.
Hi, Dan Tenkay with Bloomberg News. I was just wondering if you could elaborate. You talked about job creation in your speech. Can you just elaborate on which industries you would like to see invest in Burma to accomplish that? And can you talk about whether the investment laws on the books now help to achieve that?
Well, we do not know. I understand that there's an investment law in the works. Now, that is another instance of lack of transparency. We only know the details of the laws once Parliament has approved them, and then they become law. But ideally, of course, people should be aware of what is going on before the decision is made, and then people can protest or support or make suggestions. But I can't answer your question because I don't know the details of this new investment law in the making. Whether or not these laws will help towards reform, I cannot answer at the moment.
We will go one more on this side, and then we will go on that side. One more. Yeah.
Simon Rockneen, filing for Irrawaddy News Magazine and Christian Science Monitor. What will be your priorities in the legislature? What particular laws, what particular issues are you going to promote in the Parliament? And second, related to that, what about the Constitution? How do you still want to amend the Constitution, I take it? So how are you going to go about doing that in the foreseeable future?
I omitted answering a part of your question. What
sorry.
kind of, if you don't mind, I think I'll go back to that question, because you asked what kind of industries, what kind of investments I would like to promote. I have to say that I'm not sure I should say this. I do have some in mind, but if I were to say I would support certain kinds of investments, then I might be giving the kind of signals I should not be giving at the moment. But let me say that I'm thinking in terms of low-hanging fruit, because